Greetings. It is no longer a secret that the current consumerist format of society is not working out for 99% of the population. Inflation, low salary jobs, unaffordable healthcare, education crisis, division, violence, wars, and among all this, climate is raging and claiming millions of lives. You might be thinking, that you cannot do anything about it. But today, during this international discussion, we will speak about the simple solution to all our problems. This discussion is dedicated to the international forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, that took place on May 7th. That international forum was simultaneously interpreted into 100 languages and streamed live to thousands of online channels and platforms. All of this was done by volunteers to share the easy solution with everyone, because we care about the future of our kids, your kids, and society as a whole. The truth was voiced during the forum, and this is the information that can help us build a society of our dreams, the creative society. Stay with us, as today we will dive deeper into the topics discussed at the forum and hear from our guests why the information they heard inspired them to speak and share. And today, my co-host is Marina. And Marina, hello, and please, would you like to introduce our guests?
Sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm happy to introduce you to our guest today. Today with us, we have Scherezada López, psychologist, anthropologist, joined us from Mexico. Welcome, Scherezada. We also have Vladimir Ivanov, lawyer and immigration law expert from Bulgaria. Welcome, Vladimir.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Also today with us, we have Subhe Mustafa, member of Social Value International, founder of Market Leaders International, social entrepreneur and educationist, join us from Turkey. Welcome, Subhe. Very happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you today again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dear guests, it's so great to have you all here today. And let's first watch a short preview of the forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live.
Humanity's last war is already underway. The enemy is destroying everyone in its path.
At first, I thought it was a bomb explosion.
It's scary. It's very scary.
I honestly thought that I was going to die.
What was happening was like a nightmare. Everything was destroyed.
I couldn't stand to see the corpse of a mother hugging her burnt child.
My heart is breaking with pain.
Our enemy is climate.
Everything was destroyed.
There was no warning, no advice, nothing.
When I went out, I saw something that looked like a tsunami.
My father died right under our rubbled house. If only I could have helped him. I thought my family and I would die because the wind and the rain were unbelievably strong.
I'm looking for my wife and I need her.
I want to be strong, but I can't hold back my tears.
When we realized that the water had invaded the house, we only had time to get people out of the house.
There was no time to grab anything, and I lost everything.
And these are just its first attacks. It won't agree on humanitarian corridors. It won't sign a peace agreement. It doesn't need time to regroup, and it won't run out of missiles. With each new attack, the enemy only gets stronger. What can we oppose against this enemy? Can we, humans, survive this war? If meanwhile, instead of carrying out planetary mobilization and creating a united front, we are killing each other.
I don't want to die. I want it all to be over as soon as possible. Suddenly the windows started shaking, and with the second one, everything exploded. They were actually burnt alive.
The second bomb dropped.
We're killing the planet that is our only home. We are investing billions of dollars in pseudoscience and the business of a few. Instead of providing for life to billions, we are being artificially divided. We've been inculcated with hatred for one another, and all for the power of a few over the billions over us. But before the climate, everyone is equal. Everyone will lie in one mass grave unless we rally our strength today and stand united against the common enemy. Yes, it's hard, but we must do so if we want to survive. For we are people. We want to live.
Thank you. And, during this international forum, many various topics were brought up. And of course, the main idea was to show that climate is our main enemy, that sooner or later, due to the cyclicality of 12,000 years, climate change and climate events, the disasters will come to our house. But among all that, other topics were brought up as well to show what kind of a world we live in, this consumerist society, and how it's dividing people all over the world today. And Subhe, maybe you can share with us, with our viewers, what parts of the conference, what parts of the forum did you find the most interesting? And maybe you could add something of your own also to what you found to be the most important.
Okay, well, thank you very much again. And this is a moment of truth, because I totally understand that a Creative Society project is mainly about the truth. And we are here today to speak the truth. All the points that were raised during the forum are of equal importance to all humanity. And now we came to the moment where a state of emergency has to be declared on the global level. Because I don't call it enemy, because nature is not an enemy, it's the antagonist. Nature is our mother, and we wronged our mother in the past, and now we are paying back for our wrongdoings. So the forum wasn't a black picture depicting the future or the mysterious future that's waiting for our children. It was the truth, but we have to be brave now to unite and confess that we all, as humans, due to our consumerist attitude to life that we brought this on ourselves. So when we speak about this point, and when we speak about the truth, then we have to confess it over and over again that nature, we are sorry, we wronged you, and you are punishing us. What I noticed during the forum is this honesty and this volunteering spirit of all the participants, all the volunteers, all the beautiful minds that contributed from all over the world, from the USA, from Russia, from Ukraine, from Israel, from Central Asia. So that means creative society is again and again a historical necessity. So this is the spirit I noticed. And I'm personally interested in two topics. If the creative society is so beautiful and so appealing to the humankind, I'll join my colleague, Robert, who asked during the forum, where are the clergymen? So we need them also to speak, to deliver the word of God to the people and hear what God said about the situation. So this is one of the topics I'll elaborate on during the conversation. The other point is, we're not here to talk. We are actors, we are doers. So what to do? I already watched the wonderful advices and the speeches by Dr. Ichak Adizes. A great mind, a great wisdom with us. So let's translate the words of professors and doctors like Dr. Adizes into a roadmap for us to establish our creative society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind words and for bringing up such a great speakers from that conference. I'm pretty sure people would like to rewatch them again. And I absolutely agree with you that creative society is such a unique idea, that's such a unique project that already unites millions of people around the world, simply because in the center of a creative society is a human life. And we understand there is nothing more valuable than human life. And we need to do everything possible right now in order to really overcome all our difficulties that we face and create the world where every human can be happy, where human life will be on the first place. And I would like to ask my next question, Scherezada. Could you please share with us your thoughts and feedbacks on this amazing event?
Muchas gracias. Buenos días a todas y a todos.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, first of all, I would like to comment on what I saw in the forum. All of the issues are important and are interconnected. They're all like facets coming from the same thing, and that is precisely the problem of global inequality, the problem of big capitals that are more valued than people, the problem of global competition. We've been dealing with this issue ever since the great experts took it up. In fact, I really congratulate this organization, and I think it's a wonderful thing that what climate change experts are doing, and it all actually comes from the same thing, right? I mean, the problem of pollution, over industrialization, all for the sake of getting. I insist more capital, more money. And there was another issue addressed as well during the forum, for example, that all wars come from the same thing, from the same evil, so to speak, of this economic system that we're in. And it's just like climate change, this situation, let's say war and lots of violence, has created forced migration, involuntary migration, which leads to even greater inequality in many countries that, so to say, historically had less economic opportunities, right? And in that sense, we can talk about human trafficking, which is exactly the topic I'm dealing with, related to disappearances of people, murders of women as well. And we have a very high level of violence, forced slavery, which is related to human trafficking. Not all human trafficking, because it's not just one type of human trafficking. And we can say that these people that are in the situation of inequality are absolutely vulnerable. It's not just vulnerability, not just on an economic level in terms of lack of job opportunities, educational opportunities, housing, but specifically the fact that they get caught in the human trafficking at risk of being killed for organ removals, or just being forced into prostitution, which is something that has gone up and it increases day by day. And do we have, at the global level, despite the COVID situation, the appearance that it is going down? In any case, the number of disappearances around the world is increasing, and in no way did we expect it. We didn't expect this type of crime to decrease. Actually, we did expect, but yet it only increases. And I think that it makes us think that on what level the violence is, so popular. And I think that it is really important to have this dialogue on the global level. It is very, very important, vital. And in addition to that fact, the fact that UN, I think it is very important that people who work directly with violence, and as forums showed, that these specialists, are psychologists who can tell you a lot about what can be done exactly to reduce these problems. And I insist, there are many aspects that seem to be unrelated, but they need to be dealt with. But in the end, they are very interconnected. And this is a topic that brings us to the global crisis that has to do with the violence, climate, forced migration, inequality. That is, at the end of the day, we as people do not have the opportunities that we should have according to our human rights. There are like 30 articles on human rights that we know. So I think that it is very important to spread the word about that, to engage in dialogue. And I'm very happy to be here at the round table with Vladimir and Subhe and Marina. And I really think that it is, let's say, reinforcing information. There are a lot of people who often don't have access to this information. So this kind of dialogue is very important, isn't it? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Scherezada. And you're absolutely correct. All these things are intervened. We have climate crisis, we have wars, then we have refugees as a result of that. And already today we see what a huge problem it is that refugees are treated terribly, absolutely terribly. And we do not have a solution in this consumerist society. And we know that moving forward, we're going to have more and more people displaced. And we never know when we will become refugees. So it's so important right now to actually share this information about the creative society, to know that we have a solution. And once we all unite, as you said, on one platform, we all sit down and talk to each other, we know that we can solve every single problem we have today, which is what we started with this discussion today, is that we have all these problems, but there's also a solution. As soon as all people know about the solution, then we are able to solve all the problems we have today. And we know that moving forward, the problems will only increase and continue to become worse. So it is more important than ever today, especially now that we are able to share this information and we have such great technology as internet and social media as well. So thank you so much for being with us today. And then next, Vladimir is with us. Great to have you with us here today. And maybe also we know you watched the whole forum, the whole 11 hours of it. Maybe you can share with us some important points, important topics that were raised, and maybe you would like to add something as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Olga and Marianne. Thank you, everybody, for this invitation to join this international discussion, which is a follow-up of the forum of the 7th of May, 2022. You know, as every person, you are seeing some problems in your life, in your social life or professional life, which you experience, you deal with. This is the same with me and with everybody in this discussion and all over the world. So I was just working on some things which are professional in my area. As immigration lawyer, I'm dealing with immigration since 20 years exactly. And I'm also working a lot with credits. I mean, as a solicitor, trying to help the people to not fall that much into the pitfalls of the credit system. And this was my area of expertise, which I'm still working on. I'm helping the people as much as I can. But what I wanted to say is that watching the entire forum, I was amazed by a few things. First, how global it is all about this. It's not just in my country, it's not just in your country, it's in every country. All these problems, they are global, and the scale of the problem, of all these problems and issues, it keeps rising and getting worse and worse in every direction. And, you know, as my own conclusion, which came to my mind first, is that we are all dealing with different problems, but they all, or most of them, have one same root cause as a main problem. And all of these are consequences. I mean the wars, I mean the credit system, I mean the inflation and the refugees and the migration and traffic of humans, and all this, it's unfortunately a big part of it created by us as a society, which is inadmissible. And we should find a way to deal with the consequences as urgent, as emergency, we need to. But more important is to find the global root causes of all of this, and then to change these causes. And I believe that we can do it. And the platform of Creative Society is, in my own view, the only real platform, the best one, which we can use for unification of our knowledge, of our powers, of our specific areas of expertise, which all of and any of us can help resolving its own problem. And most importantly right now, to show, like the forum did very well, to show to the entire planet all these problems, and most importantly also how we can really unite and find the solutions to all of these. So briefly about the 2 points of expertise which I'm working in, I'm experienced. And, you know, for example, migration. And as I said, I'm working in this area since a very long time. And in the beginning, I was lucky to have people who come, for example, retired, and they want to change their place of residence and just come here and stay and live in our country. But then more and more, I see in my practice that migration is not anymore on a voluntary basis. It's now migration because of people fleeing, escaping from something, from a conflict, from a problem, for anything. And they become so vulnerable, as one of our speakers just said it. I totally agree with this. And, you know, I had, for example, one French client just 2 months ago, a very intelligent man traveling all over the world, a blogger speaking 5 languages. And on the Bulgarian border, he was just caught by the border police for a simple thing. They said, no, it's not you on your passport, it's another person. And what happened? They hold him in something which I cannot name it anything else but a prison. And this prison, you know, it was built, it's huge. It's such such awful, dreadful conditions where we live in there. And it was built by the European Union with our own money, with our taxes. And before me getting into there, I could never imagine this is possible, that for such a small thing, it can change your life. They can throw you. And there were ill people and sick people there and not enough food. And this is happening in European Union, and I think in my country, which is peaceful, etc., etc. So my point is, after watching the conference, I understand that I was shocked by my personal experience with this person in Bulgaria. But then I see that it's nothing compared to what happens with this traffic of humans and kids and refugee camps. It's really crazy, and we should not let this continue. We should fight against this. And for the second topic, I want to briefly mention, once again speaking from my own experience, it is the credit system. Because the credit system and the loans, we have such an economic system right now existing in the world, which is definitely not right. And if you grow up and you want to work and have a normal conditions for life, at some point of the time, you are definitely obliged by the system to get a credit. And then you get into this pitfall, into this problem, which continues for the rest of your life or for many years, and you can't escape. And as a conclusion, I would say that all these problems that we face, they're really different, but at the end, they bring us to a point where we, all the humans, we stop being humans. And, I feel that we're treated by like animals, and we should not treat each other like this, no matter if it's because of the war, because of immigration, because you don't have money, or whatever the reason. At the end, it's not fair. And we are all humans, and we have the right to live. We have the right and the ability to create a better world. And I'm so happy to be participant in the Creative Society project, and so happy because of all the information that we share, because this brings hopes. Of course, it shows the problem. It's shocking. But after this, we show that there's really an existing possibility that we cope, we deal with all these problems, and we create a better world. So that is my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. We're human. We definitely have a right to have a nice, beautiful world, beautiful life. And what happened right now is just simply unacceptable. And doesn't matter in what sphere of a society we start to look precisely, we will see how ugly, how disgusting consumer format is. And the only way out right now is the change format, because it doesn't matter what we will do, what kind of instrument of consumer format we will use in order to fix it, we will not be able to find a solution. Because the solution belongs to the different format, to the creative, where the human life will stay on the very, very high position. And growing up in a consumer format, we were taught from the first year of our life that we need to shift our responsibility to somebody else's shoulders. But right now, it's so clear that nobody will help us. No one will come and fix our problem. Neither political nor governmental organization will fight for us. And only by uniting all our human potential, we can overcome all the critical situation. But we need to speak the truth. And that will be our solution to all our problems. And right now, I would like to invite you to watch a video that will give us a broader picture why we don't have to wait for somebody to help us and really act immediately.
Perhaps you may think it will never happen to you, while those people have been given all the help they needed and they are now safe. And indeed, there is now a huge number of organizations and foundations dedicated to helping people. The largest of them, the United Nations, is positioning itself as the guarantor of peace and security of humankind. For decades, we have been hearing beautiful slogans and promises from high rostrums. If you listen to these loud statements, it may seem that we will solve all our problems. There will be no more poverty, no more hunger, no more wars, and we will all live well. After all, there are over 100 international organizations working under the aegis of the United Nations to solve the world's problems. For every new problem, a new organization is created. Every year, UN member states pay huge contributions to these organizations. In fact, this is money from our pockets. These are the taxes we pay to the state. Between 2010 and 2020, according to official data, the 44 UN organizations alone raised $540.4 billion. Contributions to the UN organizations have increased by 58% over 10 years. But let's take a look at what we have achieved over this period of time. The largest amount of money today goes to solving the problem of hunger. The main UN organizations to tackle this problem are the World Food Program, WFP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. They have raised $79.8 billion over the last 10 years. Current estimates are that almost 690 million people are hungry in the world and 750 million people are severely food insecure. The Food and Agriculture Organization itself predicts an even greater increase in hunger by 2030. 841 million people. So, the World Food Program is projecting funding needs for 2022 already at $13.9 billion. So they say, there will be more hungry people, so they need more money. It is a legitimate question. How is it that, with ever-increasing funding, the problem itself is only becoming worse? Let's look at another problem, the refugee problem. The number of refugees has doubled over the past 10 years, comprising 82.4 million in 2020. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, deals with refugee issues. Over the past 10 years, funding for the organization has increased by 56%, reaching $4.8 billion in 2020. Let's look at what kind of help they provide to people. One area of refugee assistance is shelter. On their website, they state, the main part of our protection mission is to guarantee access to proper shelter in humanitarian emergencies. We provide tents, distribute plastic sheeting, and develop strategies, tools, and guidance in emergency situations, and provide emergency assistance to those who need it most. On cold nights or hot days, our help can be the deciding factor between life and death. In an emergency, tarpaulin tents are an adequate short-term measure. But people live in such tent camps for years in inhumane conditions with no hope of the future. Due to the lack of even basic sanitation conditions, people die of infectious diseases. Who benefits from the problem not being solved? As long as there is a problem, there is funding. And if the problem is solved, there will be no funding and therefore no organizations. As long as there is a financial interest, as long as someone makes money from it, no one will solve the problem. The UN itself is very much like a transnational corporation in its structure. There is a parent company that coordinates and manages the activities of its other companies, but each brand is a separate business entity. In 2020, more than $3.7 billion was spent to maintain the UN bureaucracy on staff and director salaries, health insurance, holidays, business class flights, and other expenses. The planned expenditures for the renovation of the Palace of Nations alone in Switzerland, where the UN headquarters is located, is $871 million. With this money, 174,000 houses could be built using 3D printing technology. How many refugee families could benefit from this housing? But alas, building homes for those in need is not a priority for their aid. What do we have in the end? Numerous organizations that we have entrusted with the responsibility of solving serious problems of humanity turn out, on closer examination, to be merely business structures. It becomes obvious that there is a direct interest in the growth and aggravation of problems. In other words, it is beneficial for someone that people starve, struggle to survive, and make wars with each other. And that is the cynicism of the consumerist format of society, creating the illusion of solving a problem without the real goal of eradicating it is a principle of the consumerist format. Under such conditions, it is tantamount to anesthesia for a fatal illness, and even closing or reforming some organizations or firing some individuals will not save the situation, because new ones will come in their place and do the same thing, making money off our lives. Today, because of our tacit support for the consumerist format, we are all on the precipice. The rapid escalation of all crises will soon bring us all, without exception, to the brink of disaster. What kind of help will we get? A piece of tarpaulin for shelter and a couple of bottles of water?
You know, when we look at the facts and we see the truth, it's kind of hard to even imagine that such things are happening worldwide today. So many organizations, yet so many people are still refugees living in tents. There's so many people dying of hunger, live in poverty. I mean, just, you know, when you look at the facts, when you look at the truth, when you watch the whole forum, when you understand what this consumerist society did to our society, what we did to our society, and what we are supporting, it's just mind-blowing. But thank God that today we have the creative society and we have the solution, and we can change everything. We can honestly change everything and start living as human beings, start living in a world where we're all valued. And this is just absolutely amazing. I would say that today we still have this solution. And I know, Subhe, you were, when we were talking prior, you talked about the clergyman and how you were really moved by the speech that Robert gave at the forum. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you very much, Olga. You know, every moment with the creative society is very touching. So no matter how hard I try to be logical, mathematical in my attitude, I get emotional. And yeah. Thank you, Vladimir, for using the root cause expression, because I think this underlies the solution. I'll start from here and go back in history. Well, most of us know the story of the Israelites and how they were persecuted, enslaved by the ancient Egyptians and the pharaohs. And their cries reached the sky, reached God. So God punished the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, with several plagues until they freed the Israelites with Moses. Well, this story is happening now. We are facing the plagues that were sent upon the ancient Egyptians. Why? Because we are doing what the pharaohs, what the brutal human fellows are doing to each other. And it's a non-stop process. Last night, here in the Middle East, we lost a truth teller, Shirin Abu Akleh. She was killed in Jenin, in Israel, last night. And I wonder if we read in the Torah, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and we hear that Shem'ud Dvarei Yehovah Bnei Yisrael, Ki riv li Yehovah am Yoshvei ha'eretz, Ki ein emet, ve'ein chesed, ve'ein da'at Elohim be'eretz. So that translates in, hear the word of the Lord, O children of Israel, for the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, for there is neither truth, nor loving, nor knowledge of God in the land. So I wonder, for how long this cycle of bloodshedding will continue. Vladimir, you come from Yugoslavia. I'm sure 30 years ago, you witnessed, or your parents or relatives witnessed some of the atrocities that I witnessed in Syria. And my atrocities, my sufferings are nothing compared to the sufferings of my brothers and sisters in Ukraine. I can't run through all the conflict and war zones in the world. So if we don't go to the root cause, killing a human life, shedding a human blood for any reason is prohibited. And it should be prohibited, not by force of law or by force of the states, of governments, but we as individuals. You mentioned, Olga, that in the report, that there is no one there to help us, but God helps them, those who help themselves. So we need to depend on ourselves. And we start acting, not just diagnosing the root causes of the problem, but we need a prescription. Scherezada, a doctor, is with us today. So she understands fully what it means to prescribe, not just to diagnose. So the first thing, in my opinion, is to respect the human life. And later, do believe me, God will help us with those calamities, catastrophes, natural disasters, and all this stuff that we watched throughout the forum. So from here, we start from the stop or the ban of human killing. I'm sorry, I got a little bit emotional, but this is the truth, and we are here to say the truth. So in Hebrew, it's emet. In English, it's truth. In Arabic, it's haq. It's just one word. War starts with a word, and war and prosperity, war ends and prosperity starts with a word of peace. So this is, I think, this is my personal opinion about the root cause. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Indeed, we're here to say the truth because truth will help us. And right now in the world, we see so much of suffering and bloodshed, and that just really, really difficult to fall asleep after reading the news. And we really need to get together and do something to stop this nonsense. We all want to see the change, but most of us afraid to speak up, afraid to speak the truth that can change our future right now. And our friends and family will quickly pick up when we find the strength in us and start to speak and start to share the information about the forum, about the solution, the creative society. But if we share with people around us. We'll share this information with million people around us. Then billions of people will hear this truth. And that will change our future. So, dear guests, I would like to ask you a question. So, what can we all do to help billions to hear us?
Muchas gracias. Bueno, ¿qué podemos hacer cada una y uno de nosotros?
Thank you so much. So, what can absolutely any one of us do? I would like to share with you, tell you about the work I do with the families of people whose relatives gone missing, or with problems related to feminicide, basically women killing, with human trafficking, because I work with that a lot. So what is gender violence against women? It's basically my trajectory, the awareness that I know is created from home. Very important, all of the things that we talk about, these are our input. The way you bring up your children, or of course, if you're an educator, the way you teach your student. So, I mean, of course, that kind of awarenesses are really important with family, with friends. That is, try to live a life free of violence. I mean, in every sense. It seems to me that this will be the contribution, this grain of sand that we can make, of course, by participating even in that kind of events like that as well. And yes, as researchers, it is important not to be indifferent. I think that it would be kind of like the main contribution, right? I see it on social media when images of missing girls and boys are uploaded, but there's still, a sector of society that is indifferent, or that says these people are re-victimized by saying that they must have gone with their boyfriend. Maybe it's a drug-related problem. I don't know. So such indifference is what we have right now in society. It's better to work, but not to imagine. And I'm talking about the problem that I'm working on. 2 days ago here in Mexico, we celebrated the Mother's Day, and this day in Mexico has always been very important, embodying the image of the mother. There is a very interesting myth about motherhood that we could, explore, and we've been marching for 12 years here in Mexico, and this year it was the 12th year, and I had the opportunity to join it last year because of the pandemic. It was virtual, but why is it a march? It's a march because there's actually nothing to celebrate in the sense of that there are so many people gone missing, disappeared, and we have a rough estimate in Mexico that's about 100,000 of people here that Mexican state provides, like 100,000 disappearing people. And I don't believe it. It's even not close to the reality, because Mexico is a country of transit, of great migration, and it is specialists in the field who know this. And many migrants are invisible to the state. I don't just mean the Mexican state, but any other state as well. It's official. And in other words, they are migrants. They don't have rights. They do not exist. And their families often don't even know if a member of their family has crossed the border or no, and has crossed two borders in case of Mexico. There are a huge number of disappearing migrants. And so what's my point? That it's also very important, not just on the level of your question that you asked me, but on an individual level, what we can do. It's actually raise awareness. It's our contribution in our sphere, but also at the level of demand, if it is necessary, from our respective states, because there is a connection in this kind of violence and in kind of disappearance. And not only that, we're talking about not only Mexican state. So at the march, the day before yesterday, for example, more and more collectives, families who have disappeared relatives are showing up. More and more groups of migrants are appearing, coming from Guatemala, from Honduras, looking for their relatives who they suspect are missing. They disappeared into the Mexican territory, and these are people who even had to cross the border illegally to come to this march, which has already become a symbol of militants in Mexico, because many times they had to cross the border illegally because Mexico doesn't even have the governmental support to give these groups of people visas. So maybe it's about making these problems visible, even for these families where the misfortune has already happened, because it's a misfortune when a person disappears. We must not be indifferent, and we must join in the struggle for them to have, the right to find their family, even if it's only remains. And in that sense, it is demanded, and not only in Mexico. I would like to say that in Latin America, we need a national genetic data bank, like the one we have in Argentina, for example. And we need to create such mechanisms so that people could find their remains of their disappearing relatives. And of course, it's not just the bodies that we have to look for, but also the living people who are involved in the global human trafficking. And we know that people are being trafficked all over the world, so we need to join forces. And it seems to me, on the level, let's say, of a dialogue, to demand a lot, to demand the search, not for only the bodies, but also for the salvation of people who are now in slavery, who are being forced to work hard or forced into prostitution. I really think that it would be very important to join forces, not just to look for them in our country where we are, because such crimes are global in its nature. So we as scientists, researchers, we have to make this some kind of problem visible, not to remain indifferent and not to wait for something out there when it goes away by its own. Yes, not just as academicians, but also as people in general. We should not wait for a person in a family to disappear. We need to express compassion to this kind of global problems.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're absolutely correct. We need to unite all the people. We cannot be indifferent to what we see. And you know what? I think it's so important what you're doing. Thank you so much for speaking up, for, doing what it is that you do, for not closing your eyes, because honestly, it is scary. I know we talked to a lot of people that deal with refugees, that human trafficking and slavery, and just it is such sad stories and so on. So thank you so much for not being indifferent, for speaking up, for fighting for every human being, and for actually, coming on, supporting the Creative Society, being part of the Creative Society, understanding the importance of it, and also understanding the importance of unification and not shifting our responsibility onto someone else, because no one else is going to solve these problems for us. And we see, if you don't believe it, look what's going on in the world today. This is what happens when we shift our responsibility, the world that we see today. And the only way to solve it is to unite our potential, to unite all of our attention, and start thinking of what kind of a world do we want to live in all together. And we are sure that we want to live in the Creative Society, in a peaceful society where we can let our children go, run outside, where we don't have to worry about our kids, where we can live peacefully, where, we don't have debt to worry about the next day, where we don't have wars and hunger and so on and so forth. This is so easy to do. It's the simplest solution, but we've been taught to shift the responsibility, but the time of that has, it's ended. It's no more can we do that in today's society, and in today what's going on with the climate as well. And also, Vladimir, maybe you can share from your personal perspective, why is it, what motivates you to act, to participate, to again and again, what motivates you, maybe from a personal perspective, maybe you can share and why you believe this forum is important for all people to see.
Thank you very much, Olga, for the question, and thank you for all the speakers. And thank you to the Project Creative Society and the forum, which shows once again all the problems and the issue we all face in. And, looking at the videos and listening to what all of you just said, it's like a conclusion of the diagnosis of the current format of society, of the system, the matrix we all live in right now. And it was well said that we are at the brink of extinction because of many reasons. Because, as you said, we have shifted, we have just given up our rights to the political system, to leaders, to other people, because we believed in them that they can do a change and make a better world as they're supposed to do. But it doesn't work, and we cannot continue this to be like this in the future. We need to change it, and now we really have a system, instrumental how to change it by using the Creative Society platform, which can unite all different people, all different organizations, like Dr. Itzhak Adizi said it right, and all the good people under one umbrella in one global system. And for me, the current format of consumer society, I would call parasite format, because most of the people, they just use and use and use, and they don't think about the future, about the neighbors. But we can change this because we have hearts and we are really humans. And the current system, for me, very shortly, is based on few pillars, on few foundations, which is the greed, the money. And we see all these world organizations not working, not doing anything. They're just using our money and our shifted responsibility that they can deal with the problems. This is number one. The second one, I believe the foundation of the consumer society is the power. That after the money, the next thing, the next drug, is maybe much more powerful for them, is to have a power over the others, over the life of others. We cannot let this go anymore, and we can change this now using all modern systems like the internet, which you just mentioned. And the last thing of the consumer society is the violence. For me, this is the last form. When we stop being human and we can do anything for money or for power or for greed or just for pleasure, because you can just do it, but we should not allow this. So you asked me about my motivation. For me, the motivation is that I have kids, I have family, and most of us, we have kids. For sure, we have families and relatives. And I believe, and my belief is the motivation is the love, the truth that we're showing to everybody, to whole the world, with all these shocking news and conferences and forums that we are creating and making. We're showing everybody the truth. And then I feel that everybody who has a heart, and I believe that at least 99% of the people on the earth, they have a heart, and they will be motivated, like me, like you, guys and girls, that love will be our motivation, and then we should just act. We should act, we should not stay in silence, we should just do whatever it takes, whatever we can do, until we change the reality to a much better reality. We all deserve it, we work for this hard, and I'm sure we shall make it. And last thing, I think the best is not just the words, like Dr. Subhe Mustafa said, but we should just act. We should just show with our own personal example that we can do it, and we are really doing it, even right now. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then, Subhe, maybe you can share why it is important to you to share this information about the forum and to act and so on. Maybe you can give some motivational words of encouragement to our viewers that are watching us right now, so that they understand that without them, we cannot change the world, that we need everyone. Maybe you can say a few words.
Well, thank you so much. Here, I'd like to go back to Dr. Itzhak Adizi. He's a great American-Israeli scientist. I'm not sure which one is first. But he really moved me by his organizational skill to address the challenge. And maybe he gave me some secrets to make my model, my own model, Market Leaders International, as a social enterprise functioning in Turkey, hopefully in Syria soon, and I don't know. We have big dreams. So Dr. Adizes comes from a background that I can trace back again to the great Old Testament heritage of Joseph Prophet. Joseph Prophet was a single person, and he could save Egypt, ancient Egypt, just for us to compare. So he planned, and he got support from God, and he saved the ancient world from famine, from starvation. And now when we speak about food security, about poverty, and about all this lack of basic needs of the humans, why not benefit from the old stories? Okay, it's up to the others to accept them as religious, holy or not, but it's a fact, it's a truth. So why not follow the steps of Joseph Prophet to confront the drought and all this starvation in the world? Why not people like Dr. Adizes contribute to the planning and programming of large-scale projects that can handle the issue? I think, again, it's the clergyman role here to find out the jewels in the holy books and try to implement them, instead of differentiating us as different religions, different sects and subsects, and the circle never ends. And here comes the creative society with its approach as envisaged by Dr. Adizes, that we can work towards a society that meets all the needs of the individual. Intellectual needs. We have amazing scientists. We have the emotional needs. We need here men of letters. We need the clergymen to feed our souls and our emotions. And I hope that one day I can reach 1 in a billion from the results that Joseph Prophet achieved in the past to contribute to humanity and alleviate hunger and lack of foods in the society. So that's pushes me to say that Dr. Adizes from Israel, America, we have people in Turkey, we have people in Europe, we have people in Asia, in Africa, not to forget Africa. Africa can be the food basket of the world if it's supported with the expertise and the funds. But again, as we said, we lack organization. And I hope we'll be up to the expectations of Dr. Adizes. Yeah. So this is my model.
Thank you very much. And yes, we live in a time of great challenges, but at the same time, we live in a time of great opportunities. And why not to reach to each other and make a step toward creative society? Everything is possible. Everything is given. The technology is here. The desire of millions of people also here. We just need to continue, keep doing, keep sending the videos, kept sending the information about creative society to reach every single person on earth, because everything depends on this action now. And dear guest, we really appreciate you taking the time to participate in this enriching discussion. Your participation is really important and truly valuable for all of us. And I also would like to reach our viewers. If the information you heard today matters to you, and if you would like to contribute to the greater good of all humanity, please Take action immediately. The information that you heard today during this international discussion, and that was voiced also by our respected speakers from all parts of the world during the forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, has to be heard by every human being on the planet Earth. Please share it with everyone. It is so simple, but at the same time, it's so important.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you, our dear guests. Thank you so much for taking the time, for being with us today, for speaking up, for speaking out for the most important thing today, which is the creative society, because this is truly our chance. And also to our dear viewers, if you have watched the International Forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, and you would like to participate in international discussions such as this one, please email us at info@creativesociety.com, and we would love to contact you and talk to you and also invite you onto the discussion. And also, as Marina just mentioned and all the speakers mentioned, the forum is very, very important. And, you know, we are the ones that watched it and we already have this truth. But millions of people today, billion of people don't know the solution. They're searching for the solution, but they don't know that the solution exists. And we are the ones that know that it exists. So please share the forum. Share. You can always cut it up in pieces. You can, if you like certain speakers or certain clips speak to you most, you can post them on your social media. Share them with your friends, your family, your relatives, your co-workers, anyone that you believe is in need of this information, which I believe is every single person. Please share this information. It's very easy just to forward it, just to post it on your timeline. And thanks to the internet, we're able to do this today anywhere in the world. And thank you so much, our dear speakers, for being with us today. It is a pleasure to hold this international discussion. And until next time.